Okay, welcome everyone. Today, I think a conversation that's going to be a little bit different than the usual ones, because I had a talk with a guy from Australia a while back, and we battled about the Kalam cosmology argument for 3 hours. Still was a fun conversation. Then my account on Twitter got suspended, so we lost touch. And he put in quite some effort to find me and contact me. And his first question was, I'd like you to see a certain video on a talk that Godless Engineer had done with someone called the Distributist. And he wanted to have my opinion, and he basically said, who do you think won the conversation? So I'm not anyone who would say that in a conversation there's anything to win, nor that it is a contest. So but I did have some issues with the conversation that I had been watching. I was pretty much screaming at the screen all the time, and I would so have wanted to be part of that conversation. So I contacted the Distributist and asked him to come on our channel, because even after an hour and a half, I have no clue what his position is, and I really would like to know it. So welcome, Distributist. Can you do a quick introduction of yourself?
Hello, thank you for having me on. Well, I'm basically just a smaller YouTuber. I do videos mainly about the culture war, mainly about the contemporary political battles we're having going on between traditionalism and progressivism that are really sweeping the world, and globalism and localism, the questions that are sweeping the world. Every now and again, I kind of dip my toe into things like new atheism and stuff like that. It's not really the specialty of my channel. I'm not an apologist by trade. I consider myself more of a cultural critic. But, if you're interested in that stuff, I have a YouTube channel and also a blog. So I guess that's as short of an intro as I can manage.
Okay, so I have to say I haven't watched any content on your channel, because I usually don't like to prepare for a conversation. So just to keep the conversation fresh.
Sure.
With this one, it was a little bit different, because I already saw your conversation with John, with the Godless Engineer, who, by the way, is in the side chat. So thanks, John, for coming. I always love to see you. So, and thanks for all the other ones who are watching right now. Yeah. So your conversation with John was about antitheism.
Yes.
And so at least I gathered that from the title, but it became impossible to figure that out from the conversation that happened. So first of all, I'd like to know, do you hold a particular God belief, and can you tell us which one and why you hold it?
This has absolutely nothing to do with the conversation I had with Godless Engineer, but as a purely biographical detail, I am Catholic.
Okay.
Again, I don't see what that would have to do with the conversation I had on anti-theism. It really has nothing to do with my beliefs on anti-theism.
Well, some of the points you addressed during that conversation were extremely familiar to me because all I do is talk with theists. So you get
On what topic?
The usual question: what do you believe and why? The why position for me is the most important one.
That was, again, this was not I'm just as a clarification for the audience. What I believe and why as a Christian was not the conversation I had with Godless Engineer.
No. I didn't say that that was part of the conversation. I said that on our channel, that's what we talk about.
Oh, okay, sure, absolutely.
So, because I'm curious in why people would believe, because I think that's even more important than the part what they actually believe. But I at least gathered that you are against in some way, maybe anti-theists, or you think that it's a wrong position to take, or
I think anti-theism is factually unsupported by the evidence, and we have a lot of evidence to show that it's not true. And just a sanity check against history also shows that's not true. Now, my objections to anti-theism.
So many problems. I need to make a clarification. Hold on. I already have problems with what you're saying because anti-theism is not true. I mean, if someone is against something, it by definition is true because they're against it.
Okay, perhaps I should rephrase it. I should say
that they're not making any positive claims other than the fact that they think that atheism is harmful.
Yeah,
so
I think
by definition, that is true and 100% accurate because you could consider me an anti-theist.
Okay. Yeah, and, sure, but this would be easy to clarify.
My position is not only true, it's accurate. And I have the evidence to prove it.
So this is the contention. I believe that there is very little evidence to show that religion is harmful if you go to the scientific evidence and if you go to the broad historical record. Again, this has absolutely nothing to do with my personal beliefs of Catholicism, but I think just purely as a sociological fact and through historical analysis, I think the case that religion is somehow uniquely harmful or even on balance harmful when you get right down to it, this does not bear up when you analyze the evidence.
Okay. So it's sad, you being a Catholic, that you have no knowledge at all of the Spanish Inquisition, which exists today.
I have a very good knowledge of the Spanish Inquisition, but this is my point, and I think this is what.
So hold on. So Catholics killing, and not only killing, but killing in the most sick ways of people who didn't believe the same thing they did. You wouldn't call that harmful?
This is not how we would properly do an analysis of a social system. And Godless Engineer, when we had my conversation with him,
that wasn't. Hold on. That wasn't my question. My question was the Catholic Church over several centuries systematically tortured and killed unbelievers. And so, if you're saying that's not harmful, I'd like to explain to me
that has nothing to do with the claim I just made.
How that's not harmful. I mean, I'm from Holland. I live close to the German border.
I don't think you're listening to what I'm saying.
No, I'm not finished. I think it's about 40 miles from my house. There's a town called Münster. In Münster, there's a church, a Catholic church, that still has the cages hanging from the steeple in which they would put the tortured unbelievers and leave them to die in plain sight so everyone could get the message. If you're saying religion isn't harmful, I'd like you to explain how that is not harmful.
harmful? And this is what I think you don't understand. Are you saying just that religion has done bad things in the past? I agree with that.
Oh, I'm not saying it's only in the past. This is one of the examples.
No, but
There are
the thing is, the distinction you're
examples.
missing. If I showed you examples of secular humanists doing bad things in the past, would that mean that you would say secular humanism was harmful? Can you answer that question?
If you could provide me with evidence that anything ever was done purely in the name of secular humanism,
the French Revolution.
Yes,
the French Revolution
that was not done in name of secular humanism.
Oh, come on! Now we're just quibbling over details. This is just historical dishonesty.
Yes, we're quibbling over details, the same details.
We're not quibbling over details. This is just plain historical dishonesty.
Hold on. We're quibbling over details like both Hitler and Stalin had a mustache. So people with mustaches kill people. That's the equivalence you're making right now.
No, we're not. The French Revolution was an explicitly secular humanist project, and it resulted in thousands of people's deaths within the space of a 5-year period. Roughly, they killed about as many people in a 5-year period as the Spanish Inquisition killed in about 200 years. So just to get a scale of the measure here.
Hold on. Fun part is I'm from Europe. So
okay, what does that have to do with anything?
If you let me finish, I'll tell you. History classes here actually include the entire world, unlike history classes in the US.
So you should know about the French Revolution.
So hold on. The French Revolution was something that we were taught in school. There, up until now, has been no mention at all of secular humanism even existing back then.
Oh, what are you talking about? The word secular humanism comes from the French Revolution. Did they not teach you about that?
If it comes from that, then it hardly could have done in the name of secular humanism.
Good Lord. So the people who did these massacres literally were calling themselves secular humanists, saying they were doing it in the name of humanism, equality, fraternity, and liberty, and killed thousands of people, yet somehow it's not in the name of... This is, again, it's just frankly historical malpractice at this stage. You're simply just... All you're doing now is you're just taking all of your massacres, reclassifying them under a different name, so you don't have to deal with the reality that you actually had an ideology that was associated with this.
Are you capable of listening? Their reason to kill people.
Are you listening to me?
Yes, because the reason people were killed during the French Revolution was not because of secular humanism. Secular humanism arose after
it's because
the revolution.
No, that's not correct. That's not correct. All you're doing is just saying things that aren't true.
Yeah.
Robespierre was secular. He considered himself a humanist. And they were killed because they were killed because they were adhering.
Hold on. Did he have a mustache?
Of course. You have to say 2 sentences for every one of mine. But what?
No.
But the thing is,
I want to respond to something you say, because what frustrated me most in the conversation that you had with the Godless Engineer is that you tend to go off on a gish gallop and then not let people reply to what you said.
Take all the time you need to reply right now.
And that's something I want to prevent from happening, because it'll get us
just
nowhere. It's going to be a conversation that no one's interested in, because you don't get anywhere. Because you didn't get anywhere with a Godless Engineer in an hour and a half. You didn't even touch on the topic that you had planned for this particular conversation. And that's something that I would not like to do. So my title is trying to unravel the positions. And the position is, why would anti-theism be wrong? And what is your position when it comes to theism? And why do you think it's beneficial? I mean, do you think, like, organizations like Answers in Genesis is beneficial to society in any way, shape, or form?
Is that a question?
I thought that was an obvious question, yes.
Now, can I have time to answer this in context? Like more than a few.
The question should be an easy yes or no question. But do you think that an
Well, it's framed in a
organization?
weird way.
Do you think that an organization like Answers in Genesis is
What's Answers in Genesis?
you don't know what Answers in Genesis is?
Answers to in Genesis?
Answers
maybe
in Genesis.
What's Answers in
AIG.
Genesis?
It's a fundamentalist Christian organization.
I've never heard of it.
That is running the Creation Museum and the Ark Encounter. They built.
This is okay. So you're talking about Ken Ham. This is like a fringe thing that like almost nobody is involved in this country.
It's a fringe thing. A guy who can spend $118 million to build an ark. You call a fringe thing?
Yeah, I do actually, because $180 million in the grand scheme of how media organizations work is chump change.
A guy who is setting up schools, who is setting up colleges to teach children.
Compared to what?
Strictly biblical. A guy who is gaining more and more ground in the homeschooling when it comes to Christian homeschooling, who just opened up a branch in Canada, who has a branch in Australia. His materials go worldwide, and you think that's a fringe thing?
I need some time to answer this question. Could I get just a period of time to answer this?
Well, let's assume it's could be a fringe.
I think that is a no then, right?
A guy who is setting up an organization in order with the sole goal to teach children that the Bible is literally true. The world is 6,000 years old. Do you think that is harmful to society?
I think that inaccurate history is harmful, and I wish he wouldn't do it. I still maintain that it's fringe compared to other scientific inaccuracies we have going on in our university system. And I'm more than happy to provide you with secular scientific inaccuracies going.
What was inaccurate in my depiction of AIG and Ken Ham?
AIG? What do you mean AIG?
Atheists.
Oh, that's Answers in. You're using an acronym. Answers in Genesis.
No, that's not an acronym. That is actually the organization that was started by Ken Ham.
Because I didn't hear the acronym before, I couldn't immediately identify it. It's Answers in Genesis. Well, I don't know. I mean, I believe in evolution. So you're saying that there's some Christian who doesn't believe in evolution, and he spent a lot of money building an ark. Well, I don't know. People do stupid things in the middle of nowhere, and I still maintain that that guy is a fringe figure in American politics, and really doesn't have any power when you compare him to relative inaccuracies that we're seeing going on in the secular system. Okay.
Let's leave Answers in Genesis. So about 50% of the U.S. population thinks the Earth is 6,000 years old. Noah's Ark was real. The flood happened. Give me your take on why that's not harmful.
I think I already said I think it was harmful. I don't think it's like. Yeah, but here's the thing, and I'm going to take time now. I know you're going to try to cut me off, but I need to explain this distinction because it's the fundamental crux that I can't seem to communicate to you or to Godless Engineer. You can't just go to history and show that religion has done some harmful things. In order for religion to be bad, you have to show that it was worse than the alternatives. And that's what Godless Engineer was incapable of doing. And that's what I don't hear an answer to right now.
I told you we are leaving the past. We are now in the present. In this present situation, 50% of the US population thinks the earth is 6,000 years old. Noah's Ark was real. The flood happened. They didn't come up with that themselves. They came up with that because religions taught them that.
I already answered this question. You heard my answer to this question. And you're just re-asking it now.
No, because you haven't answered it.
What have I answered?
Were they taught? Do you think they were taught by religions to believe this?
Sure.
Would you say it's harmful?
Yeah. Religions have done harmful things. I already said that earlier too, if you were listening.
So at least we're agreeing on the fact that anti-theism is valid.
No, right? That's not. If anti-theism is just the proposition that religions have done bad things in the past and religious people do bad things presently, then it would be more or less factually unobjectionable. Let me finish my sentence. It would be more or less factually unobjectionable in that sense. But the proposition being put forward by Godless Engineer, explicitly at times and implicitly, was that religion was manifestly worse than its alternatives. And that is what we don't have evidence for. Do you understand the distinction between the two things being said there? Hello? Do you understand that distinction? Hello? Okay, well, I guess maybe I'm talking in the stream now. But this is maybe I can just talk until the host comes back. This is the issue that we're currently dealing with. The issue we're currently dealing with is a misunderstanding about how we can comparatively actually try belief systems.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. Could be my connection, but stuff cut out for quite a while, so I missed pretty much most of what you just said.
So this is the issue.
Can you restate what you just said?
Yeah, if anti-theism is just the statement that that people who are religious and that religions have done bad things in the past and do bad things right now, then there's no problem with it. Obviously, religions have done bad things in the past. Obviously, religious people do bad things in the present world. That's not, and anyone would agree with this. Christians would agree with this. Any intelligent person will agree with that. The problem is that anti-theists, and Godless Engineer, to take an example, are putting forward the proposition now that is very different. And that proposition is that religions are comparatively worse than their secular alternatives. And unfortunately, on this front, there's absolutely no evidence or reason to believe that, either from historical examination, where we do comparative things, or from sociological data, which we have on hand.
Hold on.
You can let me finish a sentence.
Hold on. You just said at the start of this conversation that you're Catholic. Do you believe in the 10 Commandments?
Yeah, this has nothing to do with the sociological case I'm making.
No, I'm trying to get somewhere. Do you believe in the 10 Commandments, yes or no?
I believe that they're handed down to Moses, yes.
Yes, okay. So you believe that the 9th one is accurate?
Pardon me?
That?
Pardon me?
The 9th commandment, you need to follow that.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so my question is there a possibility that you can be honest? Because you already agree to the fact that religion is doing bad things in the present, yet you keep going back to the past as if that's the only thing that we were discussing about. So let's skip.
That wasn't my distinction. That wasn't my distinction.
That was exactly your distinction.
No,
so
you didn't understand me. I don't know if you're not listening to me.
I wasn't finished yet. I let you finish until I.
You actually didn't, but okay.
No, because I wanted to respond to what you said so far.
Okay.
So we've already established that religion is doing harm in the present. So from now on, let's skip the past and let's focus on the damage that religion is doing right now. And let's not be dishonest and keep going back to the past as if that's the only thing that ever happened, because it isn't.
No, that wasn't the distinction I was making. It was you haven't understood it, which is what's really
bothering me right now. You keep going back to
now.
something we already decided that we don't need anymore.
If you were refuting my actual argument, that would be something, but you're not. You're just repeating something that I agree to. I agree that religions do bad things in the present. I agree that religions do bad things in the past. If that's all anti-theism is saying, then I do not have a problem with it.
That is exactly what I'm saying. I'm an
That's not
anti-theist. I'm an anti-theist, and that's I think your dishonesty, because you assume, you don't ask people's positions. You
no.
assume.
Don't
Then you
accuse me of dis.
construct a position, which you pretty much did for an hour and a half with the Godless Engineer. You constructed his position and started attacking that. I
Godless
think
Engineer could not provide me a coherent definition of
I
secular.
lost count the times Godless Engineer had to remind you that you were strawmanning him, and
Godless
that wasn't
Engineer
his.
would not clarify any definition he had.
Everyone can go back and just count the times that he said, "That's not my
Okay, so
position.
is
You're
this a
putting up a
conversation, or
straw."
are you trying to just
I'm trying
insult
to
me in the
get.
stream for an
No,
hour?
I'm trying. No, I'm not. I'm not insulting you.
They're calling me dishonest. In my book, that's an insult.
If you keep bringing up points we already decided that we don't need anymore, I think that's dishonest. If you think that anti-theism is based on what's happened in the past only, I think that's dishonest.
That wasn't the
Because
distinction I made. You
you
can go
are
back and listen
now,
to it.
hold on, because and I need to stress this, because you're now talking to me. And if
Yes,
you
I am
want to
talking to you.
know, and yes, and so my anti-theism may differ from someone else's. So let's just stick to my anti-theism.
This is why definitions are so critical in this entire conversation. And this is the problem I
As
had with Godless Engineer, is because he wouldn't stick to his own definitions. He contradicted his own definitions. And if the
I
definitions keep on shifting, nothing can be actually determined.
so
If
to be
anti
honest, I watched the entire hour and a half. John tried to present his definitions, and he never got them out.
No, he said the definition of secularism several times. He just contradicted it.
Because whenever he put up his definition, you tried to redefine it.
No, I was going with his definitions, actually. And the main objection was using his own definition of what secularism was. If you re-listen to it, he says what his secularist definition is 4 or
You don't
5
have a clue
times,
what
and then he
secularism
refuses to
is.
apply it consistently. That was the issue. He
You
got a
don't
chance
have
to say it. He said it 4 times. He said
you don't have
secularism
a
was just
you
a
don't
government that
have
did
a
not have
clue.
a religion at the center of it.
You don't have a clue what secularism is, because you start
I'm happy to use whatever definition you want.
so one of the most hilarious questions that came up is, do you think communism is a religion?
No, that was not the question. I said, do you think communism
Actually,
is
that was
secular?
the question, because I watched that talk just a few hours ago.
Perhaps somebody in the chat
I wrote that down, that you asked him that very question.
Oh, yeah, sure. Initially, I just to see what the definition of the religion was, right? Like, so I got the sense that he didn't think communism was a religion, right? But then he kind of like hedged it and said that communism wasn't atheism, because communism was something called state atheism, which was a special kind of atheism that's designed to exclude all bad examples of what atheists did bad things in the past.
Do you think Santa Clausism is a religion?
By what definition?
I think you just answered my question.
No, I didn't. What? I'm happy to use whatever definition.
You did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did, because you will go to the length and tell me.
This isn't a conversation. You're just insulting me.
Hold on. I wasn't finished. You will go now to the length of convincing me that people that don't believe, that do believe in Santa Claus, are part of a religion. I mean, how stupid do you have to be to just say Santa Clausism, first of all, doesn't exist? If it would exist, it wouldn't be a religion.
What? So
it's that easy. It's that
It depends on how you define religion. You can't argue against definitions.
Yes. If
I'm
you
happy
have,
if you have a
definition of yourself to define religion, you can pretty much say everything's a religion. Having a mustache is a religion. People who have mustaches are one religion, and then you have the fundamentalists who also have a beard.
Let's try this. What do you define religion as?
Religion is an organized set of believers who believe in a higher supernatural power, especially a specific god or gods.
So then Confucianism wouldn't be a religion? Would Tibetan Buddhism be a religion?
Buddhism is a religion.
It doesn't believe in a god. Tibetan Buddhism does not.
No. But
so it does not match your definition. And this is what I'm saying. If you give me a definition, you have to consistently apply it. That's what I'm asking for.
Hold on,
you have the definition you want.
Did you have the full answer? First of all, there are Buddhists who do think that Buddha was a god.
And there's ones that don't.
Yes.
And so to the ones who don't believe in a divine entity, are they therefore, is that form of Buddhism not a religion then?
Yes. Realism is a religion.
So forms of Buddhism are
they don't
and forms of Buddhism are not.
They don't believe in a divine entity. Their divine supernatural entity,
okay.
For lack of a better word, or aliens. It's still
I totally lost what you're talking about. I have no idea what I thought we were talking about Buddhism. Buddhism doesn't believe in aliens.
I said realism.
Oh, I don't know what rail is. I never heard of that.
No. See, that's your problem, because you're trying to have a conversation with someone and you don't even know what a religion is. You don't even know what kind of religion.
This is just unproductive ad hominems here. Look, because I haven't heard of a fringe religion does not mean I'm uneducated about what a religion is. We can use your definition if you want to. The only thing I'm asking is that you're consistent in your application of what is a religion and what is not, so that when we do the comparisons, we don't define the term religion to curve around so that you can cut out all the inconvenient examples of non-religious people doing bad things in history. That's what I'm asking for. A consistent application of your own definitions, which is the only thing I asked Godless Engineer for.
Big difference.
You were using his definitions, but I'm sorry. If you give me definitions, I'm going to demand that you play consistently.
Hold on. You know what the big difference is?
What is it? Humor me.
I can point out several people who have done crimes in name of religion. You will be unable, 100% unable, to find one singular person who has ever committed a crime in the name of atheism.
Yeah, but this is the problem, and this is what I was trying to point to God.
That is the problem, because
this is construction of how you define the problem that you're getting this result. And I don't know how atheists aren't seeing this. Any negatively defined belief is never going to have anyone who's done something bad in the name of it. But as soon as we start talking about positive beliefs, I can quite easily come up with people who've done bad things in the name of democracy. I can quite easily come up with people who've done bad things in the name of freedom. I can quite easily come up with people who've done bad things in the name of secularism. But for each of those things, and I'm sure you believe in freedom, democracy, and secularism, each of those bad things, for some reason, all of the people in history and all the people right now who are doing bad things in the names of those three ideas, suddenly they don't count for proving that those ideas are wrong in some way, in the same way that you're trying to use the history and current malfeasance of religion to prove that religion is somehow bad. That's not a proper way of examining the question. I don't know how it's hard to.
Just a quick question to clarify things just a little bit. So have you done any study in how many people have done crimes that don't believe Santa Claus exists?
I don't understand the question.
Well, no, obviously you don't. Because
the position incoherently,
the atheism is a position that addresses just one single question.
I know, and it's a negative position. That's why it's not appropriate to make a comparison the way you're doing. You constructed this perception that atheism is better strictly by definition, and it's impervious to evidence.
Have I so far in this conversation claimed that atheism is better one single time?
But that's the problem.
That's a yes or no question.
I don't know, actually. I believe
have I said that atheism is the better position so far?
Let's say you don't believe that. So you don't believe that atheism is any better than a religion.
You're not capable of honestly answering a question. Is there a reason for you that you don't want to point out that you just made a claim that's 100% lie because I didn't.
It's not a lie. I don't remember.
So
did you or did you not? You can tell me.
I don't know. You brought it up. You tell
me. No,
me.
you brought it up. What the hell are you talking about? Now that's a lie. You brought up this whole thing about what you claimed about a comparison. Now, look, I'm going to say this for a third time.
Well,
if all you're trying to say is that
ask me about my atheism.
I don't care about your atheism. I have absolutely no care about your atheism. I only care about positive beliefs, and that's my whole point for being here. I don't care about things you don't believe in. I only care about things you do believe in. Positive claims about the universe, positive prescriptive claims about ethics. That's what I care about.
Great. You just made my day. So, why do you believe a God exists?
What?
Why do you believe a God exists?
Okay, I'm going to note here that we're totally changing the topic.
No, you just said you are only interested in positive claims.
Well, you're asking me how
you also said about positive claims made about the universe. I mean, sure. You're Catholic.
Yeah. So what was the question again?
Need I remind you where the Bible starts and what it says?
What's your point? Can you just ask me a question as opposed to doing all this insinuation thing?
I did. I said, why do you believe a God exists?
Well, I believe that God exists because I believed Aristotle's proof of the existence of God. He lists out several, and they're reasserted by Aquinas, and I found them very reasonable for some deistic God to exist. I also read Kurt Gödel's proof of God based on his income. I'm not even done asking your first question.
Yeah, no, because I'm not interested in what Aristotle
You're not interested in the answer, of course. You asked me a question because you didn't really...
Let me finish, and you won't have to be that aggressive. I asked you why you believed a God exists. Yeah. I didn't. So if you're telling me that you believe a God exists because other people believe a God exists, I want to know why you would do that.
I didn't say that. I said that because other people proved it to me. The same way that I read a proof for the Pythagorean theorem.
So the evidence is the more important part, not the people who presented it. And I'm interested in the evidence you have. I don't give a shit who presented it.
Okay, well, it could be your next Aristotle, right?
No, I'm not going to read Aristotle because then I have to assume which parts of Aristotle convinced you. That's why I'm asking you.
Aristotle literally
I don't care if your next door neighbor.
Why are you asking me questions that you don't care about the answer to? Can I ask that?
I want to clarify. I don't care if your next door neighbor presented you with the best evidence. What I'm interested in is the evidence that was presented.
Okay, so you're
specifically,
the arguments from Aristotle.
So don't tell me that the entire life's work of a single person has convinced you, because I'm not going to read the entire work of a single person to figure out what may or may not have convinced you. I'm asking you as a person, what convinced you? I don't give a damn what convinced Aristotle. The guy's dead.
Aristotle wrote out a proof. You're aware of that, right? You can read the proof. Like, do you believe in the Pythagorean theorem?
Consider me stupid.
Do you believe in the Pythagorean theorem?
I haven't read it. So tell me what convinced you.
Okay. Yes. I told you the proof that Aristotle wrote. Do you believe in the Pythagorean theorem? You believe in it, right? Can you prove it right now on this stream?
Nothing to do with whether or not a God exists.
No, it's the same thing. You believe the Pythagorean theorem because
it's the same thing. It's the same thing. God, I had a guy tell me that the Earth was flat because the dodo never existed. I mean, if that's not convincing, I don't know what is. And you're presenting an exact similar argument.
You asked me why I believed. I said I read a proof of the existence of God. That's not.
I'm not interested in what you read. I'm interested in the facts that
you want me to essentially go through
the facts. No, I want you to list the facts that convinced you.
What are you talking about?
And
you don't want me to
telling me
prattle off the
who
proof.
wrote it down and that they wrote.
You're
other
very
stuff down.
confused. Do you understand how proofs work?
Yes.
Okay, so
But
you understand.
You don't understand that a fact that has convinced you has nothing to do with whoever presented it to you, why, when, where, and how.
No, I'm not making that claim. I'm essentially saying that I'm.
So far, you haven't. So far, you haven't put forward.
Let me try this. Let me try this thought experiment. If I asked you why you believed in the Pythagorean theorem, what would you tell me? Like, what would you literally tell me? If you believe in it, right? It's true. Like, just follow me here. Okay. Try this out. Why do you believe that the Pythagorean theorem is true?
I'll try this out.
Yeah, go. Why do you believe it's true?
Okay. Why do I believe the Pythagorean theorem is true?
Yes.
Is a concept you now bring up because you're totally incapable of
try answering it. Try answering it. Your answer will sound a lot like mine.
I am answering it. So let me answer. It is a topic that you are bringing up because you don't seem to have any convincing facts that a God exists. So you need to deflect. And what you do is what most theists will do is come up
with
an ad hominem.
Someone still haven't answered
come up with some influential person from the past who has written something that has no bearing whatsoever on the God issue, and then tell me why do you believe that?
Oh my God, you've gone on for 3 sentences and you still haven't told me why you believe the Pythagorean theorem is true.
Because it's irrelevant to this conversation, and it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time of me engaging in that because I'm not interested in why I believe that is true.
You don't accept proofs as evidence.
I want to believe the same thing you do, that a God exists. So present me with the evidence for a God.
So you want me to prattle off the proof for the existence of God that Aristotle laid out? That's what you're asking for? No, you're not. So then what the hell are you asking for? You don't want me to tell you the proofs. You don't want to tell me where I got the proofs. You don't want me to...
I asked you what you believed, and I want your evidence.
I told you what I believed.
I don't give a shit about Aristotle's evidence or what he believed because the guy's dead. The guy's dead as a doornail. I can't ask him.
You understand that proofs?
I can't have him come on my show, and you are totally not qualified to speak on his behalf.
I'm qualified to tell you what he wrote. I'm qualified to tell you what he wrote in the same way as you're qualified to tell me.
You know what? We can have a private conversation. You can tell me all about what he wrote. Until that, we're not going to discuss.
You believe the Pythagorean theorem is true, even though that Euclid is dead, right?
So why do you think a God exists?
Oh my God, I thought I said this. I believe that God exists because I've seen proofs for the existence of God, and I believe that they're valid.
Great. Name me your best one.
The best one is the cosmological. Well, okay, there's lots of them, but they all fundamentally come down to ontological and cosmological questions about prior cause. The idea is that every natural object in the universe that we can analyze scientifically.
So you can't name even one.
What do you mean?
You need to deflect.
Well, I literally named it. I said the cosmological, and I was going through it, and then you interrupted me saying,
"Hold on, okay, no, we got somewhere." So the cosmological.
Okay, so I did name it. You heard that, right?
So can you tell me?
Oh my God!
Can you tell me your different? Tell me what the cosmological argument is.
I'm paraphrasing
as you yourself understand it.
I'm paraphrasing here. Again, I'm going to note that this was not the original topic you brought up about anti-theism, but I'm entertaining this nonetheless for good faith reasons, I don't know.
I'm just curious.
The cosmological argument works like this, if you will listen to it. And and of course you know what this is too, because you've probably heard it 1,000 times.
Okay, start off. Don't.
Great. I was, and you interrupted me, telling me I hadn't named it. The idea is that every natural object requires some prior object to justify its existence logically, and from this we can infer that there is some single unitary cause that contains its own self-justification, and that this simultaneously cannot be something like an inert law or the universe itself, because the universe expresses naturalistic properties. Therefore, we have to infer some original cause of the universe that is the ultimate source of truth. And we can also infer from other arguments that it's the ultimate source of beauty and goodness. And this is what Aristotle called God, and this is what Christians have called God as well. Now, we can build on top of that other property.
That was it. That was your version of the cosmological argument.
Question answered.
Wasn't it?
Yes, so I answered your question. Now, where are we going with this?
Well, I'll tell you. State the first premise again.
The first premise is
just the first premise.
I'm about to. All natural objects require a prior principle to justify their existence.
I reject that claim. Can you please provide evidence? Yes, I reject
no, that's
that
fine.
claim.
If you reject the claim,
hold on, let me finish a sentence. I let you finish the entire cosmological argument. Let me finish my fucking question.
Yes.
I reject that premise. Can you please provide me with evidence that that premise is correct?
Ultimately, you either accept or reject it, but everything we've seen in the universe essentially builds on that premise. All scientific questions demonstrate that we have not.
So that's a no.
Okay, here's a good question. You believe in causality, right? That cause must precede effect?
I'm not again. Can you provide me evidence that can you provide me evidence that
it's
first
axiomatic? Do you know what axiomatic means?
I just want the evidence that your first premise is correct.
Okay. Do you know what axiomatic means?
Explain to me what you think axiomatic means.
Axiomatic means that it's a prior assumption about what is going on. All proofs extend from prior axioms to some kind of conclusion. Now, I pointed out that this axiom is the exact same axiom that we use when we do science. Yet you don't question the axiom when we do science. So why are you suddenly...
If we dumb it down, is that you base this on assumptions, and that's why I reject them. So let's get back to the evidence for your first premise.
Everything is based on assumptions. Do you understand that? Do you understand that your beliefs are based on assumptions too?
Let's get back.
You don't understand that.
Let's get back to the evidence you have to back up that first premise.
This is why people dislike this new atheist thing. It's because there's zero self-reflection. There's zero self-reflection. You don't understand that everybody is guilty of the same thing. So by pointing out this guilt, all you're doing is hoping that nobody points to you.
Hold on. Let's clarify. Can axioms be wrong?
What? Yeah, of course they can. And we don't. The only thing we can do is try out what the axioms deliver to us and figure out whether they.
So, do you have any evidence that this particular axiom is correct?
We don't, but we don't have any evidence for the mathematical axioms either.
We don't.
Do you understand that? So, do you want to discard mathematics?
What I'm interested is that you just said we don't.
Yeah, but we don't have ones for the scientific or mathematical ones either.
So should we go? So should we go with an axiom that we don't know is actually correct?
All axioms have this property. There are no axioms that have evidence.
That wasn't my question. That wasn't my question.
How are you not responding to this this reality?
Because I'm not going to let you deflect.
It's not a deflection.
I asked you.
Oh my God!
I asked you a specific.
I'm actually really entertained by this.
Yes. Because you just said that your first axiom that you have no clue if it's correct, yes or no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So why not reject it until we find out whether or not it's correct?
Okay, great. So do you want to reject the axioms of science and mathematics until we find out whether they're correct too?
My question was, why shouldn't we now not
answer that question and I'll answer your question because it's going to be the same.
You answer. So answers don't end in the question mark on my show.
Yeah, I know, but you're structuring this to deceive yourself. And I'm trying to illustrate this to you.
That would be a question, right?
You understand that
and
your own belief
it's as
are
relevant if I ask you that if you have no way of knowing whether or not your first axiom is actually correct, why would you not reject it until you have evidence that it actually is correct? And then you put up something that's as important as, why do you think crows are black?
You literally don't understand how this works. It's amazing.
Yes, I do know how this works.
No, you don't, because you'd be asking yourself the same question.
I talk to theists all the time. It's hard to pin them down and to make them
incredibly easy to pin you down.
And to make them think about the claims they've just made.
This is an axiomatic claim.
You made an axiomatic claim that you accept, and then told me that you have no way of knowing whether or not the claim is actually valid.
The only evidence we have is that all naturalistic phenomena are bad.
My question was, why do you accept something if you already admit that you don't have a clue whether or not it is accurate?
I'll put it this way: we have evidence for it in the same way that we have evidence of gravitation. We see everything in the universe essentially adhere to this axiom, and that could be
too. Does that come in anywhere handy?
Pardon me?
We have cars in the US. They have cars. We have bikes.
Well, sure, but this is the problem with
muffins. We also have chocolate.
Well, are you attacking inductive reasoning here?
No, I'm making fun of your way of deflecting because you are totally
this is not a serious I'm sorry, sir. This is not a serious conversation.
You're not.
I don't know how to put this to you. You're not interested in answering
an honest question with an honest
answer. What question haven't I answered?
I'll say it again. You start off with an axiom that you have already admitted, have no way of knowing if that axiom is accurate. My question was, why would you accept an axiom to be valid if you have no way of checking whether or not it's accurate?
You don't have any way of checking any axiom in the way that you're using it in this sentence. That is what you're not understanding. So that is my answer. Listen to the question.
Okay. Now I'm satisfied with the answer. Don't get as aggressive again. What I want to point out now is what you just said. It can't be proven, yet you use it as evidence for your God. So what you're doing now is something.
That's not what I said. I literally said that no
axiom. Actually, we got to the cosmological argument because I asked you for evidence for your God, and I asked you for the best evidence that you had. Your first words literally were the cosmological argument.
That was one reason I have to believe in it. Yes.
So that one failed. Let's go to the second best.
No, it doesn't fail. You didn't show it. All you demonstrated is that you
already agreed with me that you have no way.
I'm sorry. This is
you understand what we're doing. You already agreed with me that you
any negative idea is going to be unassailable.
You already agreed with me that I didn't. No way to validate even the first premise. So the rest, if the first premise can't be validated,
sorry. I had to say this. You are incredibly incurious, and you have no ability to understand what I'm saying.
I'm curious about evidence for God, and now you have presented something that you actually cannot show to be accurate.
Honestly, in this conversation. Now, I don't think that this is actually an honest conversation to determine anything, because
it is an honest conversation. One of us is incapable of giving
away from half of the conversations, and you keep on changing the topic here. Now,
I'm not changing the topic. I'm not changing the topic at all
in the abstract. Look, I don't know how to make this more clear to somebody, but you're not asking yourself the right question.
If I ask you, okay, I'll dumb it down for you.
No, you. Oh my God.
If I ask you, is A true, and how do you know that? And you keep answering
Your audience
me,
buys
well,
this.
have you
Your
heard
audience
of
buys
B,
this.
C, D, E, F, and G? And do you know how we came to validate B, C, D, E, F, and G? And that's how we validate things. I still don't have an answer of how you validated A.
Because if I validate A the same way I validated B, C, D, F, and G,
I don't
and
give
you
a shit
accept B,
how
C,
you
D, F, and G
validate the
because they have the
rest.
same validation,
I
you've
want you
demonstrated
to
you accept
validate
the way we
A,
validate
and you
those, so you have to
already
accept the
said,
validation for A.
you
talked over
already said,
any of
you already said that you cannot.
that is
Cannot. You
that is a
already
meaningless
agreed.
statement, and I really pity you if you're hanging
Okay,
your hat on that.
what's the rest of my sentence, Mr. Clairvoyant?
What's the rest on that? You cocked over my entire sentence when I explained how inferential comparisons worked.
What was the rest of my sentence?
You said you already admitted you didn't have evidence, and that's all there is to say about that. That was your sentence.
That wasn't my sentence.
Okay, go ahead.
You already agreed that you have no way of checking whether or not the first premise of your cosmological argument can be validated in any way, shape, or form. Is that not correct?
That is so I was correct about what you said. No, well, I mean, in some sense, you're right.
It's a yes or no question. Let's not waste time.
It's a yes, but it's a deceptive one. You're not getting to what actually is meant, and all you're doing is creating a linguistic game that makes it seem like you've determined something.
I want to go from the yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we are now in agreement that your first premise can in no way, shape, or form be shown to be accurate. Is that
okay? Can we follow?
Is that
that's not true? That is not true.
Is that a good way of summarizing? Is that a good way of summarizing what just happened?
No.
So you do have a way.
Yeah, we have methods. They're not the methods that you'll like, but they are methods of inferring what axioms are true. If an axiom is in keeping with the reality that we see around us, meaning it hasn't been violated, and now you're not letting me finish my sentence.
You're now disagreeing with yourself. You already agreed.
I said that there's no way to prove axiomatic presuppositions, and there's no way to do sort of a scientific analysis of them. But there is methods we can use to demonstrate that some might be true and some might be false. There are ways we can have to prefer some axioms over the other. And so depending on how you phrase the question, it can be either yes or no, which is why this question is not good to begin with, because you're not fundamentally getting to any truth here. All you're doing is deceiving yourself about what I'm saying and what I'm meaning. The question is not actually getting at some kind of truth claim.
I have a question from my co-host. What's your method to validate the first premise?
The method that we have to validate axioms is the same method we use in mathematics. We just look at them in isolation and see if we intuitively see them in the rest of the world, and if they seem to intuitively bear out in our ordinary operations every day, we accept them as being useful and valid insofar as we can call an axiom valid. But unfortunately for us, in our scientific and philosophical examinations, axioms cannot be proved or deductively analyzed in the way that you're asking me for in this conversation. And that's what I've been trying to make you aware of, but apparently haven't been able to get through.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I have.
So no real defined method to find out.
Can I ask you a question? What real defined method do you have to ground the axioms of science? Can you answer that question?
Can you say that again?
What method do you have defined to ground the axioms that undergird the scientific method? Repeatability, causality, the consistency of the universe to being defined by repeatable systems and by coherent mathematical systems that describe it. What evidence do you have to ground that?
The one you left out, independent confirmation.
In the what? Independent confirmation how?
Do you not know what independent confirmation
I know independent confirmation is, but that's vague. What exactly independent confirmation do you have that the axioms of science hold, that causality is true, that the universe is coherent?
Hold it. So, okay.
What independent verification you have that the universe is even real?
Listing your observations.
That presupposes your very axiom. It's circular logic.
Oh, you're not interested in my answer.
Go for it. Are you interested if it's circular?
I was. I got out pretty much a third before you interrupted and
go ahead.
Dismissed it.
Go ahead.
I said, list your observations, your findings and conclusions, present them to other people, and let's see if they make the same observations, come to the same findings and the same conclusions. If they do, that's independent confirmation.
That presupposes coherency and causality.
That's as dumbed down as I can get.
Do you understand that method presupposes coherency and causality, right?
Does it?
It does, yes. Why would you independently confirm if there wasn't a causal force in the universe and if the universe was totally incoherent to us and one observation had no necessary relationship to the other? And even if our communications about those relationships are unreliable.
You need to clarify. What's the causal force of the universe?
The causal force of the universe is that the reason for something happening always precedes the thing happening and not some other way. Einstein uses causality as a general principle to structure and ground relativity because a lot of the results we get directly through observation about how light works might make us think that causality is not true. But since we believe in causality so much, and since it's one of the core axioms of science, we essentially asserted it and restructured all our understanding of how physics works in order to make the experiments work.
So what you're saying is that there was no first cause, because that already had a cause before that and a cause before that.
I'm saying that you're presupposing that there's a line of causality.
I'm asking you. You believe there's no first cause?
I do believe there is a first cause. I believe in causality, sure.
If you believe in causality, what caused the first cause?
This was not the line of questioning. You're now going on a totally different line of questioning. You said you believe in causality. Do you not understand? Do you understand that causality? Do you understand the causality? Now I'm turning this around on you. You understand that independent verification relies on causality. You understand that, right?
Up to a point, maybe, yeah.
You do. Okay, so you can't then use independent verification to justify causality if independent verification relies on causality. If you do that, it's called circular reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a valid reason you listed.
Let's get back. You made a particular statement.
So you understand that you have no more reason for justifying your beliefs in the scientific axioms.
I lost all interest when you said there was a first cause, and
that was immaterial to the line of questioning we were on. That was a total tangent.
Maybe it was, but it's a very crucial one. So
no, but what I'm asking
you is, what caused the first cause?
Something has to exist in the universe that contains its own explanation.
Why?
Through inductive logic applied to the principle of causality.
Why?
Because because we can apply the principle of mathematical induction to get to an infinite regress, and the determination that if infinite regress is excluded...
You have heard of special pleading, right?
No, what's special pleading? I'm making a purely logical argument. Do you know mathematical induction?
You said everything had a cause, and then you said there was a first cause that didn't have a cause.
What are you talking about? I thought you said why. What was your question?
And so your special pleading is that for this first cause to come into existence, there wasn't a cause of that coming into existence.
Yeah, there must be at least one object in the universe that does not have a prior cause. That is the principle of mathematical induction applied to the principle of causality.
Why?
Because we've taken the principle of mathematical induction and we have applied it to the principle of causality. That's why. The principle of mathematical induction is core to our understanding of mathematics. It's a core assumption of mathematical reasoning. We can't do mathematics without it. and I applied it to the principle of causality, which we can't do science without, and I've got a conclusion that we either have to accept infinite regress, which fundamentally excludes the idea of causation if we can employ it casually, and then I have determined from that, just like Aristotle, just like Gödel, the mathematician Gödel, just like many, many thinkers before me, that this implies that there is one object in the universe that contains its own explanation and does not require an outside motivating force to actually be real, or to actually come into existence, or to actually be valid.
Okay, why would it be limited to just one?
It's limited to just one. So you can make
couldn't there be multiple?
Well, you see, it can be limited to just one, because if we assert that these things
that wasn't my question. I said, couldn't there be?
Yeah, there could be multiple ones, I suppose. I believe that you could have multiple first causes, but this creates more problems for you with the idea of causality. Once you can multiply the number of causes,
it doesn't create any problem with me, because we don't have a method to go back beyond Planck time. So the honest answer there would be to say, I don't know. People like Descartes and Thomas Aquinas. I'm not finished. You make a claim that you know what happened before Planck time. You make a claim that not only do you know what happened, you know who caused it.
No, I'm saying right now in this proof,
and you're not only saying that it's a supernatural force and that it's first uncaused cause. You are actually making the claim that this first uncaused cause was the Roman Catholic Christian God.
Are we having an attention span difficulty here? Every time we drill down on one topic, you change the topic to something else.
No, my first question to you is, what do you believe and why? Then okay, I asked you for then you said you were a Roman Catholic. Then I asked you if you had any evidence that a God exists. And we went to the cosmological argument. That failed. Now you made
it didn't fail. You weren't able to demonstrate why it failed.
I'm trying to do a short recap. Then you made the claim that there is one first uncaused cause.
Yes, and we went through
unless so okay.
There has to be at least one first cause.
Let's try and see if we can make a shortcut here. So your God, what caused your God?
What are you talking about? We're postulating that there are uncaused.
So what brought your God into existence?
There is one uncaused causer, and that there is at least one caused causer. And I think if you do further analysis, you can show that there must be one. But the initial proof show that there is at least one. So the God object does not have a cause.
Shall we now go back to my question? What caused your God to come into existence?
Yeah, it doesn't have a cause. Yeah, I'm arguing for certain things.
Hold on. I'm just trying to be honest here.
Look, I've got like 50 minutes.
I just made a claim about your position, and now I'm going to see if I can verify if my claim is actually correct. The only evidence that I need is you. So
what?
What you are saying is that the Roman Catholic Christian God is the first cause.
That's not what I'm claiming in this argument. Here, we're just discussing the idea of the Aristotelian.
Okay. Let's get back. That's not what you're claiming. So, what caused your God to come into existence?
It is the unmoved mover that was speculated by the application of the principle of mathematical induction to the principle of causality.
Yeah, that's not an answer, because you said you just said your God isn't the first cause. So what caused?
I didn't say that. I said it was the first cause, and it was uncaused first cause. Yes.
So your God is.
So you didn't know that about how the argument works.
Okay. Oh no, I'm just going off of what you think.
Come on,
you've
heard this 1,000 times, and you knew that.
What I believe has no bearing on what you believe, right?
Yeah, but like you're playing dumb here.
Don't you believe all kinds of things? And isn't this the first time that we're talking? So
this is not the
how
first time you've discussed the cosmological argument. I know it isn't. You've just said it wasn't when we first started this video, and
that's
you
not what
know
I
that.
said. That's not what I said. Don't be that dishonest. I
What
said,
dishonest?
isn't this the first time that you and I are talking?
This is the first time we're talking, but I know you know how the
Right.
argument works.
We did, for all honesty, we did have a brief conversation on Twitter, in public as well as in DM. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
And you also told me that you had argued at length about the cosmological argument.
Hold on. I'm not finished. I'm trying to make a point. So, we have had a brief conversation on Twitter. This is our first conversation. What beliefs have you, do you have right now that are based on stuff that you and I have talked about and that you got from me?
I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're asking. What beliefs do I have that I got from you?
You're constantly trying to get to my position in order to defend your position.
Yeah, exactly. Because
I'm trying to
compare.
I'm trying to point out how extremely, stupidly irrelevant that is.
No, but this is the critical thing that you're not getting, right? Every position can be questioned into oblivion by constantly calling into question its axioms or its assumptions, or by asking for more evidence than it could possibly provide in its own defense. If only my position is on trial, it will necessarily lose. However, my claim is that if I put my position on trial next to your position, mine will be shown to be on balance more believable than yours. And that is the only way that we can evaluate the veracity of two beliefs relative to each other. Just in the same way, and this is the same mistake that Godless Engineer is, the only way we could say that religion is worse than atheism or worse than secularism is to take comparisons of actual societies and put them next to each other on aggregate, and not simply putting one on trial in isolation of the other. And that's what fundamentally I'm trying to communicate, and for some reason I can't get it through to you.
Bailiff, can you please approach the bench? Bailiff?
Who are you talking to?
I don't know. You said you were on trial, so I'm trying to see if there's a bailiff because I need another cup of coffee.
This is not serious. I'm sorry. You're trolling me. You're trolling me. Look, I've got 5 more minutes to make your point. And
I'm responding.
You didn't leave a single thing I said. You're just on this stupid you heard trial and now you're making jokes about it.
No,
look, I've got 5 more minutes to just make your point.
So don't equate this with a trial.
No, you didn't listen to a single thing that I said.
I'm not a jury. I'm curious about your position. A position that you have been trying to hide from me for
did you listen to what I said?
For an hour and 16
Did you listen to what I said?
I listened to pretty much everything you said.
Okay. Repeat back to me my argument of what I just said to you before you started going on about trials. Repeat back the point I made. I want to make sure that you understood it.
Okay, you want
repeat back to me my point.
Do you want my 100% accurate and honest answer?
Not your answer. I want you to repeat back the point that I made to you when I used the analogy of a trial to make sure that you understand what I was saying before you started making fun of it.
I'll rephrase. Do you want me to be 100% honest?
I do, but I also want you to repeat back my argument so I understand that you understood what I just said.
I didn't even listen to most of it because I thought it was completely irrelevant.
That's you're not even listening to me. You've admitted that you're not listening to me. So why should I talk to you if you're not listening to me? You didn't listen to me when I said the cosmological argument. You didn't listen to me when I compared
if someone is dishonestly trying to tell me that I'm holding a trial, I'm going to shut out. Just completely cut out.
Okay, look, then that's good. Let's cut out right now because this conversation is not being done honestly. You're not listening to what I'm saying.
No, what I'm interested in and what for some reason you don't want to share.
I've answered every one of your questions. I've answered every one of your questions, but you're not even listening to the answers.
Can I finish my sentence?
Go ahead.
What channel, right? I'd just like to finish a question. Just one. What I have asked you is why you believe in a God and if there's any evidence for your God. For
And I
some
answered
reason,
this over the
for
20
some
minutes.
reason, you do everything within your power to deflect from that particular question and to not present your evidence.
I did at length.
My follow-up question would be is why wouldn't you provide evidence for a belief you seem to strongly hold, which
I did.
could affect your not only your daily decisions, but it could affect your political decisions. It could affect your decisions within a relationship because you have to follow certain rules. Why wouldn't you be so honest and tell me the very reason why you believe this particular deity exists?
I did at length.
Why
You just
why
didn't listen to the answers I was
why
giving.
do we need to go to philosophical arguments? I mean, if I ask you, do you have a car, and you tell me that you drive a Honda Civic, and I ask you what's the evidence that this Honda Civic exists, you will come up with
Oh my
the
God.
evidence that the Honda Civic exists. We don't need to go to philosophical arguments on how cars came into being, what people thought cars were before cars existed, what people thought when cars came into being, if there wasn't an invisible horse pulling this particular cart that is making extremely lots of noise. I mean,
This
you
is a
would just
ridiculous
provide
case you're making.
you would provide me the argument, and even if I could, if the follow-up question would be, why do you think the Honda Civic is the best car for you? You would come up with clear reasoning why it would be your preferred car. So,
I mean, I could answer these questions, but
and
you're not listening to my answers. So
that's something in life is completely irrelevant. A God is a lot more relevant than a car. So
and I provided at length an argument for it, and I provided at length a comparison. You just didn't want to listen to it.
I'm completely baffled by the fact that you seem
I'm completely baffled by your inability to understand how philosophy works.
Yeah, but see, I don't base my life on philosophers that have been dead for millennia. I mean, I don't base my life on a holy book that not only has been not only has been proven to be wrong on numerous accounts and has not been proven to be right on any of the supernatural claims.
I'm hoping that this is cathartic for you, because this is juvenile arguments. If you're just saying it's old, it's been wrong many times. It's not a relevant way to get your ideas.
This is why the Netherlands is now 80% atheist, because we reason and we have decided that if there's no good reason to believe in something, that you shouldn't base your life on it.
I'm sure in the future it's going to be 50%. I'm sure it's going to be 80% Muslim in the future, but that doesn't really tell you about anything about whether Islam is true or where Christianity is true. There are demographic trends going on, and if you think demography is evidence, I think you should look at what the demography is going to be doing in Europe, since you brought it up. But at any rate, I listed extensively an argument. I listed extensively an argument for the existence of God.
Hold on. I have a question to see whether or not something you just said is believable. What's the weather going to be like next week here?
We have forecasts we can do with probabilities. I don't know. I don't have them open in front of me right now.
I'm asking you. You seem to be clairvoyant. You've stated
I didn't claim clairvoyance. What are you talking about?
So we're not going to be 80% Muslim in the
Okay,
future?
man, you don't have to believe demographic projections if you don't want to. Of course, lots of people do, and apparently your government doesn't. So it's not my role to show you how you should be running or not running your country or whatever. But if you are interested, I would give the Pew Research Center on Demographics of Religion and Predictions into the Future 1 or 2 looks over. Because if you're going to use demographics as an argument, it might not be valid for very much longer.
Okay.
Anyway, I have to go in a few minutes.
Those sources you just listed, have they ever made predictions that turned out to be incorrect?
Of course, everyone makes predictions that are incorrect. That's neither here nor there.
So we can discard those.
Oh, yeah. And science has made predictions that are incorrect, so we can discard that. Of course, because it's only people who are opposed to you that ever have questions.
Science makes predictions on existing facts.
And are they ever wrong? Are they ever wrong? Answer the question. It's obviously yes. Many scientific predictions are wrong. In fact, most scientific predictions are wrong. So this you know
the difference, and you know
presupposes that things that you hold as true will never actually be questioned, and that you can erect any standard of evidence that you want to against the other.
I already gave you that science can be wrong. You know the biggest difference between religion and science?
One's a philosophy, one's a philosophical argument, and the other one's empirical.
There's a bigger one. There's a bigger one.
I'm both a scientist and a person who's religious.
A crucial one.
It's like saying what's the difference between human rights and science?
Religion will never claim they're wrong.
Religion will never claim they're wrong. Okay, fine. I mean, the current version, or we revise our findings, right? Because religions have revised what they have found based on existing evidence. For instance, the apostles were Jewish and they revised their theological perspective in light of coming in contact, possibly, with the resurrection of Jesus. And you had Hindus who revised their religious beliefs and became Buddhists. So it's not exactly sociologically accurate to say that. People revise their religious beliefs all the time.
Yes, thanks for being dishonest, because I said religion.
Okay, well, I'm kind of. I
said religion.
I'm kind of taking this. Do you have any other thing to make other than just insulting me? I think we're pretty much.
I want to put this out so you actually know what I'm talking about and why why I called you dishonest. I said religion, and then you came up with people.
Well, but the same thing is true. All you're talking about in science is a bunch of people.
So every single person is a religion in and of itself.
No. But like, take Lamarckism, for instance, right? Like Lamarckism.
So you were at least being a little bit dishonest.
No. You're just trying to misunderstand it. Look, this conversation is going nowhere. This conversation is going nowhere, man. It's just wasting our time. Like, do something more productive with your time. Like, if you want to go into like the cosmological argument, you can hear the arguments again. You can take them or leave them. Whatever.
No,
but
I agree. Hold on. I agree. Hold on. Because I usually try to end the conversation not on an aggressive point, and I try to get people to talk. So our show is called Mind the Gap. It's a gap we're trying to close. If I wanted to fight and troll you, I would have done that under a different title, because
just saying, insinuations of dishonesty are not
I may be a little bit snarky at times, but it's also a way for me to lighten the conversation just a little bit.
You directly accused me of lying several times in this conversation. I have never done the same thing,
and 100% accurately as well.
No, well, okay.
Because
when I disagreed with you with something, I didn't accuse you of lying. I said I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying.
If you ask me a specific, hold on. If you ask me a specific question and I give you a specific answer, and then later on in the conversation give the exact opposite answer to the exact same question, then at any given point I was a liar.
Okay,
I
great.
will
You were lying
admit,
when you
and
imply that science overapplies it.
and I will readily admit that I have been lying on either the first or the second occasion.
Okay, look, now I think you were
I'm
lying
that
at several
honest.
points because you contradicted yourself at several points in this conversation. Are you happy now?
Okay, I may have contradicted
Okay, great, but I
myself
didn't
in
call
still
you a
points.
liar, and this is what this is going. I'm just advice for future conversations, right? This is something that is not going to close the gap, so to speak.
Well, if you point out where I contradict myself, I'd be happy to address that.
Sure,
That wouldn't be a problem. That wouldn't be a problem because here's the thing: we have a certain format. Our first talk is pretty much what do you believe and why, and we take it from there. I was hoping.
No, that's not.
Hold on. I'm explaining my format, so I think if you want to be honest, at least listen to what our format is before.
So we should listen to each other. It's important to listen to each other
before you start talking again. So our format is the first question we start off with is what do you believe and why, and we take it from there. My main object as a person, me, Peter, is I'd like to know why you believe a God exists. I'd like to get the evidence for a God, if a God exists, because if a God exists, then I want to be made aware of that.
So here's the thing.
That's my personal reason. Okay,
yeah, you said
so
that before.
hold on. I was halfway. That's
Let me know when you're done.
That's half of our format. That's our first show. What we do with every single guest is offer them to come back. To come back, and then for that conversation, they can decide the topic. They can ask the questions because this one was pretty much me asking questions, and that's why I tried to not answer questions that you had for me, because what I think or believe or hold dear has no bearing on what you do.
And did you listen to the answers that I gave you?
Yes, I did listen to the answers.
Then you're a liar. Then you're a liar,
No.
and I'm calling you out in the same way. You told me just now that you listened to the answers.
Can I finish my sentence? Can I finish my fucking sentence before you interrupt me?
You're a liar. You're a liar because you told me you listened to me in half an hour.
I wasn't finished. I listened to your answers. What I did do is I dismissed parts of your answer when parts of your answer had nothing to do with the question that I've asked.
You couldn't even repeat them.
And you can think that was context. I didn't see it as context.
I'm just saying.
Yes, I dismissed parts of it. So
you couldn't not dismissed. You could not even repeat them back to me. You didn't agree with them.
No,
you literally could not repeat them back to me.
Why would I even try to repeat something verbatim that is completely unrelated to the conversation?
Because it shows that you understand what I'm saying, which you did not. And the fact that you said you were listening to me and then didn't listen to me continuously by your own admission shows me that by your own standards you were lying.
My question was, what is your evidence for God? If you then go off on
we went through this for half an hour and we're done with that question now. I've laid out the evidence I had. And if you do not understand what I said, then you should spend more time listening to it.
Do I have to mute you? If you then go off on a tangent, about why your position is on trial, it isn't on trial. I'm asking you an honest question, and I would have loved to get an honest answer, but you are incapable of giving people an honest answer. If I ask you, what is your main reason to believe in a God, and you go off on a tangent about what Aristotle believed, I don't give a shit what Aristotle believed. I want to know what you believe.
I explained it in full over an hour, and if you didn't listen
And if
to
you
that,
then go to, if you then go to an argument,
are you ever done? Like, are you ever done? Is it my turn to speak?
if you then go,
Let me know when you're done.
I wasn't finished. I should take shorter pauses, maybe. I don't know.
Let me know when you're done. Say I'm done.
If you tell me that your reason to believe is an argument from authority, then I'd like to point out to you that that's not a good reason to believe. So whether or not Aristotle believed something or explained something, that should have no bearing on whether or not it was Aristotle who believed this. You should come and bring me the stuff that convinced you. And you repeatedly did not.
Are you done?
You kept going back and telling, have you read Aristotle? It has no bearing on whether or not I read Aristotle, because I could have interpreted it differently. I could have read stuff into it, maybe.
Are you done?
I could have seen a lot of stuff that might not be the points that convinced you that a God exists. So what I think, at least, is the most honest thing is ask you what convinced you. And you keep pointing to what other people believed. And I'm really, really curious, and this is an honest question from me to you. Why is it so important to you what other people believe? Why haven't you come up with your own reasons to believe what
Are you done?
believe? Yes, I'm done.
You're done. Okay, great. Now I get a chance to speak. I went over in detail what I believed, and I walked you through the actual argument with the reasons and with the axioms intact. I did not rely on Aristotle, and you're now telling everyone that I did is dishonest. You're going back on what I just demonstrated to you and what the conversation you heard. The reason why you're saying this is because you haven't listened to me when I've actually answered your questions. And you're telling me you're listening, but you never actually listen to what I'm saying. You can't repeat back the very arguments I told you 5 minutes later, and that's why this conversation is going on in a dishonest form, and why by your own standards, are lying right now. Right now, when you tell me that you haven't heard anything other than me invoking Aristotle as an authority, you are actually lying, because I literally went through the actual argument and told you each of the reasons in turn about why I believed it. And you did, maybe you weren't listening, but at any rate, whether you were listening or not, you said you were. So you're either lying when you're telling me you were listening to my arguments, or you're lying now and you heard what I told you and you're misrepresenting what I said now. Either way, you're fundamentally being dishonest in this conversation. And let me finish now, because you said I had a chance to go on. You went on for several minutes, and this is why this conversation is fundamentally dishonest in its inception and how you've conducted it. And by your own standards, you're lying.
Can I respond to what you just said?
Go on. We're pretty much at the end of this conversation.
You are correct, and I apologize for stating that. You did not only present Aristotle, you did present the cosmological argument without stating that it came from one particular person.
Okay, so the entire thing is irrelevant.
Actually, I was incorrect in stating that. How's that for honesty?
Great.
Okay.
So at least we agree on that. And how about we close it off right now? So let's just close down this thing, and people can make this conversation what they will. Okay, all right. So I have to go now. So how about you guys? You have a great night. Okay.
Hold on. Let's at least try and end this in a friendly way.
Oh, okay, great. We admitted that I gave the argument. That sounds friendly.
Are you up for that? Because I already admitted that you were correct and that I was wrong. Right?
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, yes, that's true. Right? I did lay out this argument.
Okay. So what we didn't get to is what your evidence for a God is, which for me was the most. I'm not saying for you. For me was the most important part of this conversation, because I was really hoping that you would come up. Because you in what I saw on the Godless Engineers channel is that you attacked antitheism. So
yeah, I have pointed out multiple times that this is not the same conversation about Godless Engineer.
Hold on, I'll let you finish. Hold on. To attack antitheism, you have to be a theist?
No, not true.
Well, okay, no, okay, that's not entirely true.
No,
But
it's not.
the
Antitheism is a
first,
sociological argument, and I have more
okay,
than enough sociological evidence to make my case in this regard.
yes, okay. So, but the fact is that deep down, at least one of the reasons that this is important to you is because you are a theist, and that's why I asked you at the start of this conversation. And you
Actually,
were
this is
kind of,
my belief.
and you were kind enough, to tell us that you are a Roman Catholic.
I have to make a clarification. My belief against anti-theism has nothing to do with my religious beliefs, as I said in the beginning of this conversation. And you can go back and listen to me tell you that.
Granted.
My belief that anti-theism is scientifically incorrect in its stronger statement has nothing to do with my personal religious beliefs.
No, granted. But the sole purpose of Mind the Gap is we're an atheist channel. We talk to theists.
Yes.
And the reason we talk to theists is because not only do we want to know what they believe and why, but we want at least to make certain points so they will go back and reflect on their own beliefs, whether or not they're valid, yes or no. And the sorry part of this conversation is that we didn't get to that, because whatever topic that you are talking about, I think the more important topic is whether or not a God actually exists and if we should believe a God exists.
Well, that's strange because the first part of the conversation was about anti-theism.
No, hold on. The mere fact, and I don't care if you're a Christian or a Muslim or whatever, the mere fact that you hold beliefs that might not be accurate will, in fact, will have an effect on your life and on your decisions, which I think is a lot more important than whether or not we disagree on the fact that religion is harmful. Wouldn't you say that if you hold a belief and you lead your entire life holding that belief, making decisions based on that belief, if that belief turned out to be 100% bogus, wouldn't you say that is harmful?
Not necessarily, actually. Plato didn't believe this, and neither did Machiavelli. And for instance, let's take an example. Was that a question, or was that?
No, because you're already going into an argument from authority.
Because you had a question mark at the end of it, I thought you were directing a question to me, but I didn't realize you didn't want me to answer that question.
No, because I wanted to ask a follow-up question to just the start of your answer.
I didn't answer your first one, so it's not a follow-up.
No, okay, but this is important. This is important. Wouldn't you say that believing something because other people believe it is one of the worst things as an argument to believe something?
It's not an argument.
Wouldn't you want to have your own verifications of that?
So the question was, isn't believing something from authority bad?
No, because other people believe it.
That's authority, right?
No, that's not authority.
Believing something because someone else believes it is an argument from authority. Isn't that? Okay, I'm going to black pill everyone here.
I'll try to clarify. I am Dutch, and there is a certain language barrier here because English isn't my first language. So Catholicism still, I think, is the biggest religion on earth. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it still is.
Islam's bigger than Catholicism.
Because not if you split it up into different beliefs like you do Christianity.
Maybe, but I think it's more or less irrelevant.
That's just being nitpicky. But for the sake of argument, because of all the other Catholics believing in the Roman Catholic God, is that an argument to believe it?
Well, this is a different question than the one you asked me 5 seconds ago.
Yes, because I want to step away.
Do you want me to ask the
argument.
answer the one I asked 5 seconds ago, or this new question?
I'll clarify. I want to step away from the argument of authority, because what astonishes me is that every single time I ask you why you believe it, the first thing, and I'm dumbing it down, I know, and this may be dishonest, but I'm dumbing it down. The reasons you give me is because so and so believed it.
No, that's not the argument I get.
That's great, but why would you believe it?
We're back to you're back to insinuating that I didn't just lay out the argument for you at its inception when we drilled into it for 5 minutes. I mean, are we really going to rehash how you're wrong when saying this again for the third time? I laid out the argument for you in detail, and yet now we're back again to this false accusation that somehow I said I believed it because Aristotle believed it. First of all, I never said that. What I said is I believed it because I read Aristotle's proof. The same way that I believe Newton's laws because I read a physics textbook on Newton. That's not to say that the reason why I believe it is because Newton believed it. It means that Newton made an argument that I therefore accepted. And not only that, I went on to list out the details of the argument on top of that. If I were to ask you any belief that you had that was scientific, I doubt you could give me the same resolution of answer. I really doubt you could. Why do you believe the theory of relativity? Why? Do you believe the theory of relativity?
I accept the findings in science based on how the scientific method works.
And that's all that we're saying about Aristotle and the other people that came before us.
Hold on.
That's all it is.
I wasn't finished. I wasn't finished. And I may accept stuff that I'm completely not qualified to have any opinion on whatsoever. However, those things don't. So the theory of relativity has, I'm 56 now, so far hasn't come up in my entire life when I was making a decision in my life.
That's a detail.
No, that's not a detail.
It
points out how completely useless this comparison is, because the theory of relativity doesn't give me a book with rules that I should live by. The theory of relativity doesn't think that I should go to a certain place once a week. And the theory of relativity doesn't make me pay them 10% of my income to that particular organization. So as far as comparisons go, I'd say it's a useless comparison, because you will make decisions based on your Roman Catholic belief. You will make decisions on the fact that you believe a God exists.
Do you believe in the golden rule?
Do I need to tithe to the golden rule?
No, but you make decisions based on it, right?
Does the golden rule give me a book where it explains that I can't have sex with someone of the same sex?
Yeah, but these are meaningless distinctions. You make decisions based on it, right?
Oh, no, I'm trying to I'm trying to make a distinction that the golden rule. The golden rule is one rule. It doesn't tell me how to live, how to have sex, what to do with my money.
It does tell you how to have sex, actually. It tells you that rape is wrong. It does. It does tell you how to use your money. It tells you shouldn't rip people off. It does tell you all these things and you act on it. But you're trying to create an exception because you know that you cannot.
Hold on. I want to know this. State the golden rule for me.
Do unto others as you would like to have them do unto you.
Okay, so we can now.
You follow it, right? You follow it.
No,
you
that's
don't?
what I wanted to point. No.
Okay.
No.
What do you follow?
Because I can give you an example. If I walk down the street and I see a guy raping a woman, I will do unto him what I don't want anyone else to do unto me.
No, that's just a modification of the golden rule in favor of the woman.
No. You said do unto others what you want to do unto yourself.
So you're proposing that we tear down the golden rule because it prevents us from actually helping others?
I gave you a specific.
Do you or do you not believe in the golden rule as I just stated it?
No, because I just gave you.
Okay. Do you believe in any ethical regulation?
I believe in an ethical regulation, but
okay, great.
But
so hold it to the same standards you did religion.
But I don't think that you can apply a rule on every given situation in life.
No, that's not what I said. I said, do you believe in any ethical regulation?
So let's test this. If you follow the golden rule.
I follow a modification of the golden rule with caveats.
No, hold on. I want to know if you follow the golden rule. Right?
I believe in the golden rule, but it has caveats, and you know that.
Yeah, so you don't lead your life by the golden rule. That's the biggest.
I attempt to. I feel like I'm called to a higher standard, but I attempt to, and of course nobody's perfect, and there are caveats. But that's not what the point I was making. The point I was making is that you hold on, regulation, and you can't justify it in any other way the fact that other people did it.
Hold on, listen to me. Hold on, I'm trying to ask you an honest question. Are you married? Yes, you're married.
Yes.
Yeah,
I just got married.
You just got married. I just remembered. You said because that's why we had a slight delay in when this would happen. So I completely forgot. Congratulations.
Okay, well, sure. What's the point?
Okay, so hold on. So let's say that while we're having this conversation, someone breaks into your house and is holding your wife at gunpoint and threatening to shoot her. Would you then not do everything in your power to kill this guy before he gets to shoot your wife?
Yeah, and you know why? Because let me answer this question.
No. Let me.
You know why?
No. I'm trying to get to a point. So we have to follow a certain rule of questioning. So wouldn't that go against the golden rule?
No, it wouldn't. Do you know why?
Why?
Because if I broke into someone else's house and held their wife at gunpoint, I hope that somebody would have the courage to shoot me. Yes. That's why. And you would get the same answer from Jesus as Aristotle as Kant. They all would agree with that caveat. That caveat has been there for thousands of years.
Hold on. Please.
You should have been
What I'm interested in is, so if you're about to kill this guy, aren't you then doing something to him that you wouldn't have someone do to you? Because for him, hold on, because for him, it might be perfectly reasonable to kill your wife.
No, it wouldn't be.
Why wouldn't it be?
Because that's part of the golden rule. Is my preference is that I don't want anyone to kill anyone else's wife. And I hope that if I was trying to kill someone else's wife, someone would stop me by any means necessary, including using lethal force against me. Therefore, the golden rule still can be applied to the other person, and I can still use lethal force against him because my preference for non-harm can be operated through the golden rule. Even secularists believe in this. You'll have John Stuart Mill and all the atheist philosophers use the exact same logic I used just there. You'll have Sam Harris use the exact same logic. Everyone gives the same answer when they defend the golden rule, when they have this caveat brought against them. And all of this
No,
is to get
I
out
guess.
of an admission that you
Okay.
believe in the golden rule. And the only
Okay.
reason why you do believe in it is because other people around you taught you it. You didn't have scientific evidence that the golden rule was right. You believe it because other people taught it to you.
That's where we differ.
You don't think that? I think a sociologist would say that
No.
you do.
No. I think that
I don't know if that's scientific.
So you don't believe something is scientific that you haven't heard me say yet.
Why do you believe in the golden rule?
Did I say that?
Why do you believe in any of our ethical regulation?
What I
Why
said
do you believe
is,
rape is wrong?
What I said is, the statement that you just made is that we believe in the golden rule that because we are taught. I'm not sure if that is 100% accurate. That's what I said. I didn't say it was wrong. I didn't say it was right. I said it wasn't 100% accurate because I believe that most of what makes up the golden rule is something that we've got through evolution, because it is something that even animals understand. It's a matter of survival.
No, but if that were
And
true, then it would be
it is only prevalent in social species.
No,
So,
but okay, are you done? I can never tell when you're done or not. Like you have these long pauses, and then when I try to come in, you talk over.
I have these long pauses.
Like, tell me when you're done so I can answer back.
Okay, I will do that. So the reason that's why I think we have the golden rule is because it is a product of evolution. It is a product of how we are as a species formed by evolution. The fact that we wrote it down and maybe even refined it just a little bit because we have reasoning, I still think that the origins of the golden rule come from evolution and how we evolved as a species.
But they're not sufficient. Would you say that?
They're not always sufficient.
They're never sufficient in themselves. For instance, we know that you can train people to act callously against other people and violate the golden rule.
I know.
We know that you can do this.
I live in Holland. Okay. My grandfather was a camp survivor.
Okay. Well, then you know that you can train people out of this. So by that admission, we know that the only reason why people believe it is because they're trained into it. Now, maybe
I'll tell you. Right. I'll give you a little bit more information. I know for a fact that my grandfather went to a camp because he was a vocal atheist. I know for a fact that
I don't see the pertinent. I mean,
I'm
know sorry
for a fact. I know for a fact that Hitler at least partly based the actions that he took on Christianity. I know for a fact that a book.
This is a digression away from what we were talking about.
I know for a fact, and it's a book I think was written by Luther, and was pretty much the thought in every single religion in Germany at the time. That the Jews were lesser people and were the cause of much harm and they should be weeded out.
This has nothing to do with what we were talking about previously. We are again changing the topic totally.
What I'm saying,
I think the reason we're changing the topic is because we were about to get to the point in the previous one where you could see where I was coming from, but now to avoid
hold on. Please.
We've been talking for a really long time. And
please, I never let me tie one to the other so you can understand. Please. What I'm saying is we have the golden rule. Hitler had the golden rule. What I'm saying is, and I'm not saying that religion is 100% to blame for the Holocaust. It had at least a big hand in it. So religion can cause us to veer off of the golden rule and do something completely different. It had people
Just let me know when you're
gas.
done, okay?
It had, yeah, I will. It had people gas other people. That goes against the golden rule 100%. And that was caused at least partially by religion. Religion gave those people the seeds to develop to what they became in the end. So that's why I mentioned this. And that's why I said we have the golden rule. It's not always 100% accurate, but there are other factors that can come into play that can make us just ditch the entire golden rule and go 100% against.
So you agree
Factors
with
is
me
religion.
that it's largely
One of
dependent
those factors is religion.
Are you done?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay. So you agree to me that the reason why people obtain the golden rule is because of the fact that they've been trained into it or not trained into it. Maybe religion is the culprit. Maybe that's the reason why people don't believe in the golden rule. But at the end of the day, it's because they were trained into it.
I already said, I don't think it's being trained into it. I think that it is something that is passed down to us due to how we evolve as a species.
Well, you just demonstrated if that were the case, then how, if that were the case, if it's evolved, then how could religion possibly change it?
Because
you contradicted yourself, right?
Yes,
First you told me
I
it's like
didn't.
inherent in your genetics.
No, I didn't.
Religion can't change your genes,
no,
right?
I didn't, and I want to explain. You asked a question, so at least give me the opportunity to answer your question. I didn't say that. I said that there could be other factors that come into play that make you ditch the golden rule, that have a religious book with rules, that have an organization that will tell you what to do and will tell you to veer off the golden rule. That is what I said.
So your
don't try and twist my words.
Look, the indignation, just forget about it. Look, so your idea is that everyone has the golden rule genetically in them until they come in contact with religion, and then they don't have it or something like that. To me, that seems totally not in keeping
Why
with what we
are
see
you
about.
so dishonest and going to a position that I didn't have?
Look, just clarify what you want to actually say.
I clearly defined my position, which is the exact opposite of what you're saying now. I didn't say they completely abandoned the rule. I say there are factors that come into play to make people abandon the golden rule. I didn't say that they would abandon it for good. I didn't say it would make them abandon it in every single
but they'd be more likely to.
Situation in life. So 100% never came into play.
Sure.
That is completely dishonest of you to make
a mistake and said 100%.
To make that straw man argument, because that was not even close to what I said.
Okay, let's test. So your belief is that everyone has implicitly a golden rule with evolution, and then religion makes it more likely for them to discard it?
I can make it a lot easier for you. I believe that every human being on the planet Earth is equal. And religions, as far as the major religions go, that's Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all have a tenet in their holy book that they should kill unbelievers.
So can I ask a question? Do you think that religion makes
until that is changed
when you're done, okay?
by the Almighty God Himself, and He erases that entirely from history, then maybe you might have a point. Maybe then you might have a point.
I'm asking a
that
sociological question.
That theism isn't harmful, because if you go by your book, which you don't, which most Catholics don't, you should be out killing people.
That's not. This is not the point we were under discussion. The point under discussion was, how did the golden rule come to be believed in people?
You would be killing people and going against.
I'm sorry,
the golden
this
rule.
is a change of topic. You're changing the topic.
No, it's still about the golden rule. You would be.
But it's not the same question about the golden rule. You swapped out one question about the golden rule for another one.
I'm just making it very clear that you.
Do you believe that religion makes it more likely for someone to have
your deity apparently has provided you with a book that actually commands you to go against the golden rule?
And you think this makes me less likely to follow the golden rule?
When it comes to a certain kind of people, namely those people who do not believe the same thing you believe.
Are you done?
It is in black and white. It is in the Bible. You cannot deny it. So please acknowledge at least this point, that you have a holy book that commands you to go against the golden rule.
I do not believe that the holy book commands me to go against the golden rule when taken in context.
When taken in context.
Now, that's not the question I just asked. Do you believe that religion makes people less likely to follow the golden rule? Now, you said you're done. Let me ask you a question now. Let me ask you a question now. Do you believe religion makes you less likely to follow the golden rule?
You brought up context. Give me context in which it is okay to kill people who do not believe in the same God you do.
Thomas Aquinas outlines just war theory. You can read that.
I don't give a shit what Thomas Aquinas.
Okay, great, but
I'm asking a guy called the Distributist.
You're changing the topic, is what you're doing. You're changing the topic because you don't want to answer my question.
I'm asking the guy called the Distributist.
You want me to go into just war theory?
To give me the context in which killing people who do not believe in the same God he does is not veering off of the golden rule.
What?
Give me that context.
Yeah, okay. So here's what's not veering off the golden rule. If Mehmet the Terrible takes an army of Turks and surrounds Vienna and puts it under siege, it is not breaking the golden rule for Zan Zablinski to come in and attack him with his flying hussars. That is not breaking the golden rule. And it is war against the infidel.
Okay, I'm not entirely sure.
You're in Europe, right? You know about world history, right? So you know what that is.
Hold on. Who was the Catholic?
Okay,
in that story,
between Mehmet the Terrible of Turkey and Zan Zablinski of Poland. You're asking me who the Catholic was?
Yes, because I have no clue what you're talking about.
So much for European education. Zan Sobieski was the Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? I have no idea.
Who did he kill that did nothing to him?
The Turks that were sieging Vienna?
Yeah, that's a siege. That's something different. Defending yourself from a siege. Defending yourself from a siege is not even close to.
So you understand that in some circumstances
to just not believe in your particular version of God.
So you understand that in some circumstances it is all right to do these things.
I understand that you did everything in your power to dodge the question, because I asked.
This isn't even the original question we were on. Originally, the question was: does religion make?
I'm asking you for the context where it is not going against the golden rule to kill a completely innocent guy who just happens not to believe in the same God that you believe in.
That violates the golden rule. But what about it?
That's a distinct command you get from your religion to go against the golden rule.
That's what you're inferring from reading the Bible.
Not? Is it not?
The Bible does not say murder innocent people for not believing. So the church does not say
actually, your Bible says that you should kill unbelievers. You should kill people who do not believe in the same
This is
God
the mistake that
you
Godless
believe.
Engineer make. You can't just take verses out of
In
context to say that.
your Bible, God sends out armies into other countries who do not believe in the same God, and that lets them kill.
I gave you an instance where someone
lets them kill every man, woman, and child, every animal. But keep the virgins for yourself.
Okay, look. You're not actually interested in following a philosophical argument back. Again, I'm putting out for the fourth time. This is not the conversation. Can you answer this question for me? Can you answer this question for me? Do you believe that religion makes people less likely to follow the golden rule?
Maybe I'm just stupid and not putting in all kinds of philosophical mumbo jumbo to try and defend.
Well, I appreciate you don't like philosophy. That's fine.
An obvious.
I think this is really about.
An obvious immoral God with an obvious immoral book with obvious immoral commands.
What does this have to do with anything that we're talking about? Do you think that religion makes it more or less likely for people to follow the golden rule?
Less.
Okay, well, there's evidence to show that actually it's the opposite. It makes people more likely to follow the golden rule. We have sociological studies that show this.
Okay, if that's the case, I didn't want to bring it up.
We have evidence to show this.
Honestly, I didn't want to bring it up. But let's go to
why? Because it contradicts.
Let's go to a certain example.
Okay, so like as soon as we get to something that's not so flattering, we immediately have to duck away from it, right? This is how it works, right?
No, I'm going to something that absolutely is not flattering.
I know. So this is
by
sure
by your own logic, explain to me Catholic priests raping
your entire concept of history
by the thousands.
They were men.
Yeah. All Catholics, right?
What?
Those Catholics priests
were evil, yes.
And yes. Over 17,000
What is your fucking point?
In the US alone. They were
you're not actually making an argument. You're just going over things.
Hold on. I have a line of questioning.
Oh, no, but you never stick to it. As soon as we get
I'm happy that you said they were evil men.
I'm out of time. I had 2 hours to decide for this, and I'm done. I can't. I have no more time.
Okay, my last question then for you to ponder over. We both agree that we're evil men, right? We both agree that you and I would both step in. Would we see that happen? Is that correct?
Sure, I would certainly.
Okay. Doesn't it worry you just a little bit that the Catholic Church has put up decrees that those priests shouldn't be brought to justice? But the opposite. Hold on, I'm not finished. But the opposite, the Catholic Church is relocating them so they can escape justice.
Yeah, it does worry me. I'm working to stop that.
Okay. Great.
That's it? Okay, great. Okay, in the future, like, stick with one topic so we can actually get to the bottom of things. And if we're darting around.
I did want to stick with one topic, but you did everything in your power to deflect from that, because I still don't know
not really.
why you believe a God exists. You say you have
evidence. Went over it line by line.
You have evidence. You came up with a cosmological argument. We both
went over that line by line.
We both agreed that the first premise cannot be validated, so we shouldn't use the first premise. If the first premise falls, if the first premise falls or cannot be proven or evidenced, maybe the better word, to be correct, then we should at least discard.
You didn't understand the argument I was making.
Because we cannot get to the conclusion if one of the premises cannot be shown to be accurate.
And you didn't understand the argument I was making in that moment, and you couldn't repeat it. And that was our main difficulty.
You agreed with me.
No, I
Wait a minute,
actually
go back,
didn't. I
go
mean,
back. No, yes, you did.
you can go back. I agree that there wasn't evidence in the kind of way you were talking about it,
Go
but I didn't
back,
agree that there wasn't reason to
go
accept the
back
premise.
and listen. You agreed with me that we didn't have a valid reason to even assume.
And you don't understand how
Listen,
axiomatic statements work, and that's the big
yes,
problem.
and
You
I'm
don't.
we fleshed
Okay,
out
great. I'm
that
glad
as
we agree on
well.
that.
And
Right?
you
If you
agreed with
analyze the
me,
Pythagorean theorem
and
the
you
same way, you'd
agreed
understand my
with me.
counter
Hold
objection.
on, you agreed with me that axioms can be wrong. You agreed with me that your particular axiom could be wrong. Therefore, the most honest way to go about it is to at least put it aside, do not accept it until you can actually show that that particular axiom is not wrong.
And by that statement, you will discard all mathematics and all science because they cannot prove their axioms either. And I apparently wasn't able to convince you of that. But if you use that line of reasoning,
I
you will destroy
disagree.
all human knowledge. You will destroy all human knowledge. If I'm allowed to
disagree.
bring that objection to science, I will destroy science. If I'm allowed to bring that objection to mathematics, I will destroy mathematics. So please, please, please be honest about that symmetry in this argument, because I think that's the crux of where we're falling down. But with that, I actually have to leave. So I'll say goodnight, guys. I really have to go. Okay. Cheers.
Okay. Well, that was quick. I thought at least he would have the courtesy of ending this in a nice way. Seems that couldn't happen. I don't know if there's going to be a second talk. At least I will offer him a second one. We'll see where that gets us. So far, I think that during the talk with Godless Engineer, I thought he was extremely dishonest. My take on this conversation is that at least we had that confirmed. He doesn't want to seem to back up any of his statements. He doesn't even try to make a good case for the God that he believes in. I don't know. If so, I'm not saying that he is. If I was to hold the same position that he has, I'd call myself a fake. But that's maybe a little bit too harsh to say, and maybe to him, philosophical arguments can be evidence for anything. For me, they can't. Not when it comes to something that should be so obvious and so easy to provide evidence for as a God. Because if we are led to believe that stuff in the Bible is true, even if you discard a lot of it, there still should be stuff that you can actually show to be accurate. I I really don't understand what the problem is. I really don't understand why he would deflect in the way that he did. Um, Even when I asked him what his best evidence was, he didn't get out the entire uh, cosmological argument. He started out with just cosmological and then started immediately veering about and trying to get in more stuff. I asked for one specific thing and I asked for the best thing that he had. He couldn't even do that. He couldn't even put his best argument for God out there. And I think if you're an honest person, if that's the fact, if that's the case, sorry, if that's the case, if you're an honest person and someone asks you to come up with your best evidence for God, you should at least have your best evidence for God, and you should be honest enough to present it. If you don't, I I do say that that's assuming and that's maybe bad, but if you don't, all I can conclude is that you don't have anything. And the fact that he, at so many times in this conversation, pulled up stuff that other people believed, makes me think that he has never reflected on his own position. He is copying other people's positions because they seem plausible to him. He has not done anything to see whether or not their reasoning would work for him as well. And I think that's sad. And I think that's what's keeping religion alive, because people are not being as honest with themselves as they should be. So I'll let you know on Twitter if and when, if he does, we're going to have a second conversation. Until then, or someone else comes up, there was Mind the Gap. I hope you thought it was interesting. It went on a little bit longer than I expected because we wanted to do shows an hour and a half. This is almost 2.5 hours, but I had something in the back of my mind that drove me to do this conversation, and I hope I got it out there. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and see you all for the next Mind the Gap. Please subscribe and like, and leave your comments, whether they agree or disagree with us. We love comments, so please comment in the comment section. See you all next time. Bye bye.